This podcast is brought to you by Independent Building Advice. IBA acknowledges traditional owners of the land and waters this podcast is recorded on. If you find this episode helpful, follow us for more so we can continue putting out free value for all homeowners in Australia. It really goes a long way. Enjoy the episode.
Welcome back to the podcast. Today we are talking about a really hot topic, and that is, well, hot's quite ironic actually, that is a topic about energy efficiency. Your home must be energy efficient. It must reach a certain, 7 stars at the moment, and there's a star rating. There's different ways of rating it. There's different things you can do to your home to make it a better performance. We're going to discuss all that today with Nina Kelly from ESD Studio.
Hello.
The coming of the podcast is a topic that a lot of people are interested in, and we're good to get an expert on board to chat about it.
Yeah, thanks. I'm excited to be here.
Beautiful. So just tell us a bit about your background, how you got into this, the whole thing, and go from there.
Sure. So I studied construction management and economics at uni. Started off thinking I'd be an architect, but not creative enough. It's a hard degree, and I am an architect dropout. So yeah, construction management and economics, and then I got more into the commercial space. Quickly figured out that also wasn't for me. Went through a few iterations of being in the building industry, and while I was traveling I saw this certificate for NatHERS assessments. It's something I could do online. My boyfriend at the time, we were living in New Zealand, just traveling around, so we were doing it in our spare time.
For a hobby?
You just
let's do some energy efficiency for fun, hey?
Because we were traveling for a year and a half in a van,
awesome.
so we had a lot of downtime.
Amazing.
And it was just something I really wanted to improve myself. I love the construction industry. I knew that commercial wasn't my space.
Yeah. So you wanted
and
a part in it, you just didn't know what part.
Yeah, and I knew I wanted residential. But this certificate came up, and at the time there really weren't many energy assessors around. So did that certificate. When we moved back, I found a job as an energy assessor. This would have been 8-9 years ago.
Yep.
And yeah, I've been rolling with it ever since.
Yeah, awesome.
There's been some time in between. I've worked as a project coordinator, design coordinator, so I've got a bit of experience in other parts of construction, specifically residential.
Yeah.
But yeah, energy efficiency is where I've always led back to.
No, it's lovely. It's cool that you knew the industry you wanted to be in, what you wanted to do, just what part, like, architecture and then. But it's hard when you're 15, though, trying to get you to decide what you want to do for the rest of your life.
Yeah, especially when it is framed as you pick this at 17 years old and that is your life.
Yeah. Yeah, well, my kids are 13 and 15.
Yeah.
I go, what do you want to do? And they go, I don't know. Play sport, Well, that may not be a permanent thing, but then you got to find your own way, and you found it, which is awesome. Yeah. So ESD Studio, that's your own studio that you run, and you do a lot of independent sort of assessments, or you do it for businesses, builders. How does that work?
I work for a mix of builders, architects, draftspeople, and owners who are doing renovations or maybe doing an owner-builder build.
Yep.
And there's a few engineers trickle through as well, but for the most part, there's draftspeople and architects. So they send me their plans and ask me to do an assessment. I model it up on my program, see how it rates, and see what upgrades it needs to get to 7 stars if it hasn't already reached the 7-star requirement, as well as a whole of home assessment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you go, this is what you need to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into that. So,
Sure.
All right, so someone designs the home, energy efficiency, is that important?
Yes.
How is that important? Why? How is it relevant? And how does it all work? Just walk us through to someone who's new to all this. How does it work? What do they need to know?
Yeah, so energy efficiency in a nutshell is how good your house is at not getting too hot and not getting too cold. And what we get is a star rating based on how many megajoules your heating and aircon units use to keep your house at a comfortable temperature for the occupants.
Gotcha.
So it's important for whoever's living in the house to be comfortable. It's important whoever's paying the bills, your electrical bills. And it's also legislation, so you have to do it regardless. You have to get 7 stars.
So 7 stars a minimum, because in the past it was 6 star, now it's 7 star.
Yeah, before that was 5 stars, and so it's been increasing over time.
Well, even when it was 6 star before, it was if you try to get 6 star, it's acceptable.
There was ways around it.
And builders find that instantly.
Yeah. So that's got a performance solution when you're finding a way around it.
Yep.
The issue with performance solutions is every time a new National Construction Code is issued, which is every 3 years, they kind of nub the current performance solution, so you have to find a whole new way to do it.
Yep.
And what we're finding now is that every council won't accept performance solutions. You have to go through a private certifier, which, as you know, means you have other restrictions. You can't do anything outside the R codes. And even then with private certifiers, a lot of them won't accept them.
Well, let's get into all that a bit later. But so walk us through. So you got 7-star.
Yes.
So what does that mean? So is that just done as a one-off thing, or how do you assess a 7-star?
Yeah, so I get your plans from your designer or from the owner, whoever has them, sends them to me.
Yep.
I have floor plan, elevations, window schedules, what materials your house is made out of, and I model it all up on a program. That program then tells me how many megajoules are required to heat and cool your house. And depending on your climate zone, that then gives me a star rating.
Beautiful, okay.
So
what's a climate zone?
So climate zone the NatHERS administration have 69 climate zones in Australia. And the climate zone says what your average temperatures are throughout the year, humidity, rainfall, where the wind's coming from. It's very comprehensive. It's been developed by the CSIRO. And so in Perth, there's 2 predominant climate zones in Perth metro area. And then as you get to the hills or you get down south, it does diversify because they are different climates.
Wind changes, heat.
Exactly.
You don't have the sea breeze coming through. You don't have the Fremantle Doctor.
Like in along the coast, it's a bit more stable day and night. In the hills, you have big drops day to night. So it accounts for all of those things.
Yeah, gotcha. Which makes sense because if you put a one brush to everything, you go, well, that's it. Well, it's completely different.
Yeah, exactly.
You go on a 40-degree day up into the hills compared to, Cottesloe Beach. You're going to have a very different experience.
Exactly,
yeah, absolutely. So obviously you got to know there's different areas that they're assessing it from. And then what do? So you get a house plan and you obviously look at materials.
Yeah.
But what would be the steps? So walk us through the steps of your assessment. Is it soil orientation first or is it, how do you look at that?
So you meant to get technical into what the programming
is?
Sure.
Not too technical, you got to press Control Alt. No. What I mean is, so how would you? What's your steps of assessing it?
Yeah, sure. So what I do first is I get your floor plan and I paste it into the program. Yep. And the next step is basically I'm just copying your floor plan. This room's a bedroom. Here's a garage. Here's a hallway. Each of those rooms is allocated what we call a zone, and that's a zone is what function the room is going to perform. If it's a bedroom, a kitchen, a laundry would be unconditioned. You don't heat your laundry. Yeah. Well, most people don't. Some might. Then from there, you specify every single building element of that room. So you do your walls. What are the wall heights? What are the walls made out of? How thick are the walls? Is it cavity brick veneer? The internal walls, are they plasterboard? Are they single skin brick? And you do all of those details for the floor, the walls, the roof, the ceiling. Are there any differentials in the ceiling height? Is it on a slope? Is there a bulkhead and makes it go up and down? Because it calculates the volume of air in the room as well.
Yeah.
So it's very comprehensive. Then you have your windows. The size of the windows, the operation type is if it's a sliding window, it only opens halfway. So the air coming into the room is only half the air that would be of a casement window, which swings outwards. So this program really does have everything involved in it.
Yeah.
So when we model your house, it's quite comprehensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I personally have a major issue with one of those assessments, and that is sliding window versus awning window. So awning window for people at home is the wind-out window that goes to the bottom. Because I've lived in a lot of homes, and a sliding window, although half of it opens, it lets a much better breeze through because it's straight. I don't know much air that goes like this into a home unless you've got something to do. So although the awning windows are considered that the whole window is opening, therefore it lets more air through, in reality, it's not really the case.
Yeah.
But I can understand for the assessment why that would be.
Yeah, so that's one of the things where I agree with you.
Yeah.
But the rules on how we apply it is black and white in our tech notes that we have to follow, so I can't change that.
No.
But I do agree.
Yeah. The computer says no, but that's one of the few things I go, is that right? But,
I 100% agree.
But casement windows, definitely.
Yeah.
But that's not your decision.
No.
We're just making the report happen. Yeah,
it's not a grey area that you can sort of fumble. It is black and white. Yeah. What percentage we put on awning windows?
Absolutely.
So.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's good. That's a sign it. Okay, so you look at obviously volume of room.
Yeah.
And then you go, okay, great. Do you take into account solar orientation and things like that?
Yeah, of course. So, frankly, the solar orientation is the easiest part because you just put a little arrow where the north is pointing on the floor plan.
Yeah.
But when I do receive floor plans from clients, the first thing I look at is the elevations. Before I start modelling, I look at the elevations and I say, like you have all of your glass facing east, like I already know that it's not going to perform very well.
Just on that, when you're talking elevations, you're talking about levels, or you're talking about front, side, rear of home?
Front,
Just
yeah.
because a lot of people aren't familiar with elevation.
Yes,
Yeah, the word
so
elevation.
it's like a 2D picture of each side of your house.
Yeah, fantastic. So the reason why I raise soil orientation, and we have a little video on our website somewhere explaining the very basics of soil orientation, and how to get the plan. But to me, what I see, because we do a lot of assessments of designs giving people design feedback, and soil orientation is often just completely ignored.
Yeah.
Just completely, it's crazy, you know. And you're there going, like, why have you got all your living areas facing south? Like, it's just nuts.
Yeah.
Which is why I raise it. And for energy efficiency or just basic living, it's 101. Just, go north, northeast, whichever. But it's just crazy to me, and that's why I was
It is a very fundamental design principle.
Yeah.
I think it does come down to the lot you have. Ideally, every single person should have the kitchen and living facing north, and everyone should have good solar access from the north, so the neighbours don't overshadow them.
Yeah.
But that's not the reality of how we live. Like, your lot really determines how your house is going to be designed. If you can get a good lot, like if you're looking for a lot, the only thing I'd be looking at is orientation. Slope matters. Obviously, the area you want to live matters. But if you have poor solar orientation, everything is kind of downhill from there. Yeah.
So, and I agree. I have a hierarchy, right? And soil orientation of what matters more than other things. So, and I use the analogy of other people, like west sun is horrible in summer between 1 and 6. You can't use that room.
You're not going out there.
If you had a balcony.
Yeah.
But, and in most cases, soil orientation trumps things. However, if you're on West Coast Highway and you have a view of Rottnest, and it's a beautiful view, and although that's west facing, guess what? You should ignore soil orientation and look at the ocean. And I drove past a place, I think it was in Freo, and it had beautiful views, and they had a brick wall there, blocking the whole ocean. And I was like, well, obviously soil orientation was more important to
You're
them.
buying that land for that view.
Exactly,
you're not going to block it off from your house.
It's crazy, Or even if you've got a farmhouse home and you've got a view of a river or lake or the hills, don't ignore that. But you want to try and cater for both, I think. And if you can do both, and like, for example, if there's West Coast Highway, you would have it, all your living areas facing north, like you said, Kitchen Mills family facing north, but also have the view as well, so you can get the best of both worlds. So, but if I had to choose one, I'd take that view, which is an extreme example.
But it does happen. If you go along, anywhere along the coast, they're all facing west.
Yes.
You have very few, like in Manchester, there's a few lots that are near the beach and facing north, and that is primo. But we don't live there, so.
No, true. Or some people maybe
the very lucky few that can live in that specific spot are very lucky.
Absolutely. But then if you narrow it down to probably more realistic, is that you may have a view of the city, or you may have a view of, like you might have a corner block where you've got a view of a park or something like that. Then you've got to weigh, and that part might be to the south. So all your living areas technically might be facing south, but then you've got to weigh up what are you paying for with solar orientation? And what's more important to you? Because if you ignore solar orientation, that's going to hurt your wallet and your living style later. And it's really important to weigh that up with your designer or architect to find out what's the best option for you.
And you got to make compromises. If you do want all west-facing glass, you're going to have tinted glass. There's really no way around it. You're going to have smaller window sizes. I think the days of people having massive glass facades facing the ocean, you're either paying like $100,000 for it, or you're having smaller windows. And smaller windows, you can still see everything. You have more privacy. If anything, personally, I'd prefer it. But the way sustainability and that is going, it's not very feasible to have massive motion-facing glass.
And that's the thing, though. If you want it, you got to pay for it. But that's the thing, though, is like I say it to a lot of people that when you have views of the park or the ocean, things like that, at night, you might be able to see people on the beach. They can see you because your lights are on. I actually did a house for a guy in Secret Harbour on the beach, and he wanted every room to be able to see the ocean from there, including the toilets and that.
Oh, no.
So he could be on the toilet and see the ocean from the toilet. I went, oh, man,
it's a nice way to
that's not good, but people can see back. And that's, I don't think people need to see that. But, each to their own, okay, so solar orientation is a big part of it. Can you walk us through the basics of good solar orientation?
So the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. But the way that this arc works in the southern hemisphere is the sun kind of arcs to the north. And then as you get more into winter, it arcs more to the north. So in winter, it's great design to have your living areas north, so the sun hits it in winter. And in summer, it's a bit more overhead, so it doesn't hit you as much. When you have northern orientation, you don't get that really, really harsh morning light, and you don't get the western, sunset, which really does kill you. That is when you're spending most of your time in your lounge room, hanging out with your family or your friends.
Yep.
Everyone lives their lives their own way. That's fine. But yes, that's why we really focus on north, because you're getting all the benefits with the least amount of heat coming into the house.
Yeah. But also, I think that's great. And that's I think, the basic principle. If you don't remember anything else from this podcast, remember that. North's your friend.
Yeah.
For your living areas, like, don't put your garage at the north unless you're working in your garage all the time or something. But
if your door's open, then that's your safe space.
It's your own, But
your rating might not do well.
Sorry,
your rating probably won't do very well.
You got to pay for it later, which we'll get into in a minute. But also, I think if you don't have a choice, like you can either go your living areas on the east or the west. I would always choose east over west.
Same.
Purely that morning sunlight is a lot less harsh.
Yes.
If you had to choose, and that west sun, if you have, I see it all the time, those living areas, if you don't have any shadows or shading or anything like that, those rooms would be almost unusable. The heat off that will be phenomenal. And I see so many alfresco areas out there. The alfresco's there to block our western sun. But you go, but when you're using that, that's going to be just a hot box.
Yeah, you don't want to go outside?
No, Australia, I think spend time outside. So it's just things that people really need to consider, which I think is great. So good soil orientation's obviously paramount.
Yeah, that precedes everything else.
Yeah, fantastic. So what else? What's okay? You look at soil orientation. What's the next steps that you look at? Or what things are the most important that make the difference to heating and cooling?
So if I get an assessment that doesn't reach 7 stars, the thing that I do is I make sure the ceiling and roof insulation is up to scratch.
Yep.
Because that is the next best thing. If you have, most houses suit R4. If your house really isn't performing well, it goes up to R6. But for most houses, R4 is sufficient. And if you have...
What's
an
R4? An R4, yes.
Yeah,
No.
Of course.
Yeah.
So if you imagine your roof, the inside of your roof like a triangle, where these are your colour bond roof or your tiles, and here's your ceiling, which is up there.
Yeah.
Above the ceiling you have bulk insulation, and that comes in R2, or 1.5 it starts at, and it goes up and up and up.
Yeah.
The thicker your insulation, the more it stops heat from transmitting into your house. So R4 is pretty standard. It has been the standard for a long time. From the houses I've assessed, that hasn't really changed since 7 stars came in.
R4.1, I think.
Yeah, so it depends on the brand. Different brands have different.
Of course.
Yeah, I say R4 because that way the client has a choice in which brand they go for.
R4.1 is being someone being super pedantic and being silly, which I was joking about.
Yeah. So there are some companies that say R4.1, but if I say R4.1, they are stuck with those brands.
Yeah.
Whereas at least I can give them some flexibility in who they're buying from.
Great point, because you're just assessing something,
Yeah.
and you're saying, hey, yeah or no. Yeah, great point. Yeah.
And I'm not here to shill any products. You know, I'm being paid by the client. I'm not being paid by Kingspan or an insulation supplier.
Great point.
That's how I view assessments, is give them as much flexibility to the client as possible.
Yeah.
I give them the minimum they have to do. They can go above and beyond that if they want to, but at least they can make that choice for themselves with their budget down the track.
Yeah, magic. So just on that, I'm going to just expand on that one a little bit further.
Yeah, sure.
So what people have is you have your roof space and then you have your ceiling.
Yeah.
And what happens is that your roof gets hot, and then the insulation, which you're talking about now, actually stops the hot air or the cold air, whatever, going from your ceiling into your actual home. So the insulation is giving you that buffer.
Yeah.
And you go one step further, which you're probably going to get to in a second anyway, is that what you can do is stop the heat going from the roof into your roof space, and therefore the insulation works better, which is the anti-cons and things like that. And for tile, it's...
You can have sarking.
Sarking, that's what I can never remember that word. Sarking, yeah. So you're sarking the tiles, which is a different thing, but similar.
It's more like waterproofing. It doesn't add much insulation.
Yeah.
It adds like a tiny bit, because it does stop some heat transfer, but it's not like a foil. Like anti-con's a foil with bubbles in it. And insulation is basically bubbles. It's bubbles in different products, and those bubbles, pockets of air, is what's stopping heat from coming through. Sarking doesn't have bubbles, whereas anti-con comes with the bubbles in the foil.
See, I didn't know that, because I always would have thought, as a layman, that Saki and Anticon basically the same sort of thing. I know if you do a tile roof, a lot of builders say you should have Saki.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, it's more of a waterproofing thing.
Yeah.
Whereas I thought they would have been about the same as far as energy efficiency. So Anticon's a lot better.
Anticon's a lot better. So Anticon has an R value of like 1.6.
Yeah, gotcha.
Or 1.8, depending. And Sarking has an R value of like 0.1.
Yeah.
Because the material there does something, not much. The other thing to consider with sarking is that, well, now we're getting into like roof ventilation, which is a whole other topic.
But it's a great topic though, because people are interested in it.
Yeah. So roof ventilation, we'll see if they skip this part.
Yeah, you should be interested in that. No, but not, we won't go too detailed in it, but keep going, sorry.
So colour bond roofs, which are metal roofs, they don't have natural ventilation. So I believe they're coming in the next NCC 2025. They're going to start having legislation on
2025.
Yeah,
like last year.
Oh, but the NCC 2025.
Okay, so apologies.
Yeah. So not the one that was implemented last year.
Gotcha.
They really confuse it all with when everything's coming in and the date.
Yeah.
So I mean, that was last
when
year.
they decided.
Yeah. So the previews come out to have more ventilation in your roof, which is great for condensation management. Yeah. Not great for energy efficiency, but I hate to say it, but energy efficiency isn't the be all and end all. You have a whole house to live in. And condensation is important. That's a health risk if you don't have condensation.
Yep.
So if you do have condensation in your house, that's a health risk. It creates mold. So now they're looking at adding ventilation to your roof space. When you add sarking to tiles, you're reducing your ventilation because air can't escape through the little gaps. With ColourBond, you normally add ridge vents, sometimes whirlybirds, or Eaves vents, and that will reduce the amount of condensation in your roof.
Yeah, and a very cost-effective solution too.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they're becoming quite common now, especially because down south most houses have to have ventilation, and that's slowly coming back up to Perth.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a good move anyway.
Yeah.
But people just don't think about it because obviously, for most people, there's so many moving parts to building that you're overwhelmed. And, we've got to think about whirlybirds isn't really going to come up in topic, which is interesting. But I think it's a great move. So actually, one thing we haven't really covered, when you're actually doing assessment, do you look at all 4 seasons? Is that how you work? So you have to reach 7-star in summer, autumn, winter and spring, or?
No. So what we get is a heating and cooling load. The program considers all the seasons. But as the assessor, I kind of just look at the final numbers that pop out at the end. We get a cooling load, a heating load and a total. If your heating load is really high, it means that you have a cold house. And if your cooling load is really high, it means you have a really hot house. And so I use those numbers to figure out what sort of insulation or changes you need to your house in order to improve it and to increase the total load to reach 7 stars.
Gotcha.
This is probably more important in other states because legislation says you have limits on your heating load, your cooling load, and then you need 7 stars. WA has an exception where we don't consider the heating and cooling loads, we just need 7 stars. But for the benefit of both my job and for the client, I try to work with where the house is failing and work with that.
Yeah, makes sense. Because I've had clients' homes where they said, look, you're about 9-star in summer, but then you're like a 3-star in winter.
Yeah.
And they said, do a black roof, right? We're talking about this on the phone that although it may look good on the computer, I don't think a black roof is a good move anyway. But I don't know, what are your thoughts on that?
So when you have a black roof, if you have adequate insulation, if you have R4 or R6 and you have Anticon, internally the black roof makes such a tiny difference. Like you really won't notice a difference walking into a black roof or a white roof house.
Yeah.
But where black roof really does make a difference is the urban heat island effect, which is where the environment around you artificially increases the temperature of that space. So when you have a black roof, you might be increasing the outside temperature to 1 or 2 degrees if you have a sea of black roofs.
Gotcha.
It could go up to like 7 degrees sometimes, depending on how much thermal mass there is and how much concrete there is. If you don't have trees, that all contributes to what's called the urban heat island effect. So that's where black roofs really matter. It's making your environment uncomfortable. And naturally, if your house is sitting in a 30 degrees instead of 27 degrees, your house will be hotter as well.
Yeah.
That's just the environment.
Yeah.
So I do think black roofs are important. I don't think you should be building with them. In terms of the energy assessment specifically, you won't find that much of a difference.
Okay,
it might be a
gotcha.
few megajoules,
Yeah.
maybe.
But it's like anything, like it's like the awning window thing that it's,
Yeah.
it should just, but mind you, they look cool. So aesthetics
Yeah.
often beats,
Yeah.
practicality and
That's the line. That's what everything
yeah.
isn't it though, not just energy efficiency.
But I really want it. Okay, well, let's ignore everything else. Yeah, absolutely. No, and that makes sense. Like, it's just, again, that's just how you look at it. But you got the solar orientation, and then there's materials. Because, like, take, for example, insulation. A graph I saw many years ago was showing that when you get to 4, it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
But after 4, the thicker insulation makes less of a difference.
Yeah.
And therefore, you're better off actually spending the money elsewhere. Not always, but sometimes. Is this what you agree with? Yeah.
Yeah, I find the same. It's not just the efficiency of it, it's also the cost of it. Like, as you go past R4, it gets significantly more expensive.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Just going on, like, material costs from, Bunnings.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also with the energy rating, it does make a small difference. Well, like I said previously, I only do R6 if it is struggling to get across the line. Then I'm bumping that up and seeing where I can go. I think the other thing to consider with R6 is as you get, back to our roof example, as you get closer to the edge, because R6 is thicker, it doesn't fit. So not only are you compressing it to get it into that small little areas like near the eaves, you're also, like, that's reducing the efficiency of it.
Oh, really? You go that detailed, really?
I mean, not in the modelling, but in real life, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, though. Like, the computer might say something, but you go, well, but in reality, it's how this works. So, okay, so you've got obviously the roof. You want to keep that cool, and then the ceiling, the area from the roof to the ceiling.
Yeah, it's like multiple levels of protection.
Yeah,
to your
absolutely.
house.
I think that's actually some pretty smart moves to do straight away. But you talked about high ceilings making a big effect of that. Is that a positive or negative, high ceilings?
It depends on if your house is too hot or too cold.
Okay.
So
hot and cold, is that?
Yeah, so if you have a hot house, if you have higher ceilings, heat rises. And if you can have any openings up there, that helps. In terms of the overall rating, like, you're not going to change your rating going from 25 courses to 27 courses. It will have, again, like a small impact, but it won't be enough to, if you're 6.5 stars, that's not going to get you to 7 stars. That's just like one of the small things that the program considers when it's giving an overall effect.
Roger.
If you're looking to increase your rating by a significant amount, your best bets are your windows, your glazing, and your insulation. And if it comes down to it, if it's really bad, sometimes you have to redesign. And that's if you're stuck at 4 stars, you're never going to reach 7 stars with glass alone.
Yes, no, absolutely. No, I was just curious because, like, we have some clients that do 3-meter high ceilings and that.
Yeah.
And I was trying to work out whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. So when heat rises, that's a good thing for heating then?
It's a good thing for cooling down the house.
For cooling the house, okay, beautiful, yeah.
But that said,
'cause it's away from where the people are living.
Yeah. That said, and I should caveat that we're looking at, you have to heat the whole space. If you need to heat up your house, you're heating up the whole space, not just the bottom 1.5 meters where you're standing. So it does have a big detrimental impact on that side of things. Like, if you have a mezzanine with a void overlooking the lounge room, that's a lot harder to pass.
Yeah.
Those sort of examples are just
Let's get into that then.
Okay.
And just by the way, just for people at home, this is not advice. We're talking in general here.
Yeah.
So don't take anything. Nina said X, Y, Z. So that's not the case. And we do have disclaimers in the footnotes. But the point is that we're just talking general here.
Yeah.
Because we get clients, right? And I'm not sure how this works with the energy assessment. But we have clients that want to have voids. And then they have a nice big lounge room off the void area and they have a hallway. And then I explain to them, so look, just with the heating and cooling thing from a practicality point of view, your lounge room that's off that hallway that goes to a balustrade area and that hallway upstairs and that whole void area and the entryway downstairs and that hallway there that leads to another activity room, that's one big room.
Yeah.
And you have no doors, no nothing there. Is that how that's like? That's not great for energy efficiency.
No, it's very bad for energy
Your
efficiency.
aircon is going hardcore.
Yeah, it's trying to cool up every single one of those rooms. The way we would model it isn't one big room in the program. They're different zones, is what we call them. But we do have openings. We add doors and openings and everything. So it does recognise that there is 100% airflow going from your lounge room up to your hallway in the other end of the house. And that is sharing air. And what you're trying to battle in your lounge room is now being contradicted by your cold hallway down there.
Yeah.
It is, it can be a big challenge.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, and then but to me, if you put a door somewhere,
Yeah.
just close the door.
Yeah.
And that is taken up in the tests as well,
Yes.
where doors are, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I just see so many, because with builders, they're trying to save as much money as they can because it's expensive to build. Less doors, less cost.
Yeah.
But a door off a main living area to a hallway can make a huge difference.
Yeah, it's not just your energy assessment it's making a difference on. It's your living there in real life.
Yeah.
That's going to make the huge difference
Block
too.
the kids out,
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, because I've been to display homes before and I'm meeting clients and there's a raking ceiling, massive raking ceiling there. I'm going to turn the aircon on and, mate, that thing is at full ball.
Yeah.
And 40 minutes later, it's
Everyone's
still not cool.
like sweating inside.
Boiling, yeah. So that alone is how much volume is in that room that you got to take into account. That's a lot of energy you're wasting.
Yeah. And on rake ceilings as well, because we can only fit how much insulation there is in that space.
Yeah.
And when you have a rake ceiling, you don't have much space, which means you need bigger rafters to fit R4, which is way more expensive. Like once you're looking at LVLs, like
yeah,
that's
it's flow on
expensive.
effect.
You know?
Yeah. And that's it though. That's that flow on effect. And then you're assessing, well, you need to do all these things to make your house efficient.
Yeah, and then it goes back to engineering, and then it becomes like a whole thing because they wanted a rake ceiling with really small gaps in between.
But
and
they look cool. So it's
it
right.
looks
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
It looks cool.
So skylights make a big difference.
Yes. Yeah.
And opening skylights even better.
It helps.
Yeah.
It helps. In general, skylights don't help your assessment.
Yeah, I'm talking about the big ones, not just
Yeah.
a tube.
Yeah. So even like Velux, they're double glazed. They're probably the only ones I really model because if you're not doing double glazed skylight, it's.
Yeah.
But tubular is okay sometimes if it's a bathroom.
Yeah.
Skylights, you can have them. They won't help your assessment.
Okay.
Yeah.
And why is that?
Because once you have a skylight, you're taking away ceiling insulation. And if you have a big skylight, say it's 700 mils by 700 mils, that's, oh my God, what's my maths? What's 49?
Yeah, don't ask me.
Yeah, 0. That's like half a metre squared of insulation that you're removing. So not only are you bringing in way more heat through that skylight, even though it's double glazed, you are removing the extra protection you had as well. So it's a double whammy of negativity.
Yeah, but it looks cool.
But it looks cool, yeah. And
I've
there
got a
is
theme here,
yeah. There is benefits to it for the person living there, you know.
Yeah. But if your house is orientated badly, would that would help you, wouldn't it?
No.
No, okay.
No, I can't think of any situation a skylight would help you.
Yeah.
The only time a skylight would help is if you have. We're getting very niche here.
No.
So,
it's relevant because we've got people that know this is all new to them,
Yeah.
and we've got people that like live for this stuff. So
Yeah.
it's good to talk.
So when you're looking at bathrooms, laundries, powder rooms, there's a rule within the NatHERS Tech Notes, which is kind of like our Bible that we have to live by, that if those rooms have an operable window, they're unconditioned, which means we don't really consider them. We model them in, but they're not in your heating and cooling loads. If it doesn't have a window, which is often the case when it's in the middle of the house, then it's a daytime zone and it's considered conditioned, which means it needs to have its own heating and cooling loads. So your toilet will have to be, depending on the climate zone, 24 degrees year round or 21 degrees year round. And they consider that in how much energy your house uses. However, if you add a skylight to that toilet, it now has an opening and it's unconditioned again.
Yeah, wow.
So there's just a small tips and tricks. That's the only situation a skylight actually helps your rating.
How long does the assessment take you?
It depends on the size.
Well, just like a couple of hours, a couple of minutes?
No,
weeks?
a couple of minutes. So if it's like a 3x1 house, it will probably take the modelling itself maybe an hour.
Okay.
And then the upgrades depends on how well it's performing. If it's 7 stars, you certify it, you take it, you run.
Yeah.
If it's 4 stars, it could be a couple of hours. Then the larger like architectural builds, they would be more like a whole day. If there's like 3 or 4 stories, if there's lots of different window sizes, if they have lots of different ceiling heights throughout, that takes a while.
Yeah, because obviously you're getting really specific and you got to be accurate. Yeah.
And then once you have that, you have your energy rating as well. And if it doesn't pass straight away, you got to upgrade. And then you're looking through. We get a report after each simulation saying which room's doing really well, which one's doing really bad, what's really hot, what's really cold. And those architectural builds specifically are really looking at each room and where it's failing. And you pick the worst performing ones to upgrade because that's where you're getting the most return.
Roger. Yeah.
So it's just doing that analysis also takes time.
Yeah, and you're trying to get the best information possible.
Yeah.
So if a house doesn't perform, let's say it comes in at 5 star, it has to be 7 star, obviously. You then provide suggestions as to how to achieve that result. Is that? Yeah. And you take into account the most cost-effective way of doing it, or you just say, look, here's one group of things, another group of things, another group of things you can choose from. Is that how that works?
So it depends on the client. I know when I have a lot of clients who return back to me, I know what their preferences are. So I straight away just say, okay, I know your preferred glazing supplier. Use these windows from your preferred glazing supplier. And you'll need permacav in your walls. I think with 7
What's
stars.
permacav?
So permacav
That's my job. Hey, what is it?
Permacav is wall insulation that you put in cavity brick walls.
Yep.
And specifically for cavity brick. You can use it for sheds, but in terms of houses, it's for in between the 2 layers of brick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that make a big difference?
Huge difference.
Yeah. And you put it on the western side? Is that all around? Or?
I put it, depending on how the house is performing. Sometimes I put it around the whole perimeter of the house, excluding the garage, because I'm not going to do that. Or sometimes I'll put it just around the lounge room. I try to focus it. Say you have let me find my words for this. You know that the builder, when they're building it, they're not going to say, oh, the permacav stops at the lounge room, so I'm going to stop at this line. They're going to just continue that whole facade until it hits a corner, and then they'll stop the permacav.
When you're saying lounge room, are you saying depending on the orientation or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if the lounge
it's a
is
living
facing,
area.
Yes, if the living area is facing west, then I would put it on that wall. You know.
But you wouldn't put it on a south wall.
I would if the house is performing not well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it makes a massive difference. So
it does.
So if people weren't even taking this into account, they went, I just want to make my house better, and they did permacav to all the walls externally.
It would help.
That wouldn't be a bad day. It would be a good thing.
It'll be a good thing.
Side note of that, which was interesting with our electrician podcast, he was saying that because often people have double brick and they go, I'll just chase the thing, it's an external wall between the bricks. That's not a thing you can do with permacav. So people got to be aware.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's the thing. So if you are doing permacav, which is great, just be aware, get your PowerPoints right, because you chasing it later is not a thing you can do that easily. Yeah. And people often forget that. They get the keys, go, just chuck that PowerPoint in there, and they got an issue. So it's just something to think about. But and that helps with both heating and cooling.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's just cavity brick doesn't have any insulation. It has good thermal mass, which is what we consider like a battery system sort of thing, where it absorbs heat and then releases heat.
Yeah.
And that's materials like brick, concrete, soil, rocks. They have good thermal batteries, but they don't have good insulation. So when you have 2 layers of good thermal mass and no insulation, it performs fine. And, spring and autumn is great. But you get like a heat wave, it's going to be releasing that heat into the night. And that's where permacav really performs.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Which is a great segue into what is really what's some good materials like. You got brick, just mentioned. Mm-hmm. Great. What about timber framed?
Timber framed is good, but Perth climate specifically really benefits from thermal mass. So if you are having timber framed, fantastic. But then I would suggest having a concrete slab on the ground. And make sure your windows hit that concrete slab, or you're just wasting your time. Or having some sort of thermal mass internally in your lounge room, make a feature wall, do something. That would really help the house in Perth.
So if you're going timber framed and you had a feature wall brick wall, that would help with the energy efficiency.
Yeah, as long as a window is facing that wall.
See, Nina, this is why we get you on the podcast for this. I didn't know that. That's actually really interesting because it's and if you had like 2.5 insulation in that timber framed wall, would that help? Would that be as good as brick, or?
That would, as long as you have some thermal mass, it would perform similarly.
So if you didn't have thermal,
I'd say,
So because thermal mass is just brick or stone, is that?
Yeah, basically rammed earth. It's that's something that's compressed together, like bricks are.
So if you had timber frame and like weatherboard on the outside, and then you had insulation on the walls, that's inferior to double brick.
That would be inferior double brick as long as the double brick has permacav.
Okay, and without permacav?
It really depends on.
And this is a very broad question.
It's a difficult piece of string. It depends on the house design. Depends on the orientation. Depends on where that room's going into. Depends on if there's thermal mass elsewhere. But the best of both worlds is reverse brick veneer, which is
okay. Now we're getting there. Okay, so there's brick veneer. Yes. So just for everyone, bricks on the outside, timber frames on the inside, right? Reverse brick veneer is the reverse. Yeah. So you got basically timber frame on the outside, you got brick on the inside, or steel framed, right? So walk us through why brick veneer or reverse brick veneer better, worse.
So the reason timber framed insulation is better than permacav is because timber frame insulation is a thick 90 mil insulation thing.
Yeah.
Whereas permacav is just a foil. So similar to Anticon, it's just a foil that goes in your wall and helps. If you can have R2.5 insulation and then you have that thermal mass.
In the walls? Yep.
In the walls, sorry, yep.
Yeah.
In the walls. And then you have that thermal mass of the brick that will slowly release heat back into your house at nighttime. Because Perth, the weather does dip at nighttime as well, especially in the hills. That's where thermal mass is more important.
And it drops.
It drops a lot, yeah. So the more thermal mass you have there, like golden. But yeah, so with thermal mass, releasing the heat back at nighttime, and it does do some heat prevention during the day because it's absorbing the heat as opposed to letting it go through. Yeah, it's just the best of both worlds.
So reverse brick veneer is better than brick veneer.
Yes.
Because it's got the thermal mass on the inside keeping the heat.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just key takeaways here. If you're going to do double brick, permacav.
Yeah.
Right. Permacav isn't that expensive.
No, I don't think it's...
From memory.
There wasn't... When Summer Stars first came out, or even prior to that, when we started suggesting permacav, there was a lot of hoopla. And now it's just accepted. Now I'm like, yep, all right, that's part of the course.
It's a go-to, yeah. And then if you're going to go, but if you're going to have the best of the best, it's reverse brick veneer. You get the best of it 2 worlds there. Yeah,
but you have to work with what your budget is. You have to work with what your builders, what suppliers are available. Timber's hard at the moment. Brick's hard too. Everything.
It's a little bit difficult out there. No, it's insane. It's crazy market out there. But but we're just talking high level principles and stuff. Because you get a lot of homes that have double brick downstairs and they have timber frames, especially with extensions and that upstairs, and you can just feel the heat as you go up the stairs. Is there anything else that they should think about if they're doing like an extension or a second floor and they're doing it in a timber framed? Because that's depending on the changes all the time, but sometimes it's better value for money. But what other advice of that you would have for them? Or
if you have people on site, if you're already doing renovations, upgrade your existing ceiling insulation. Even if you're not touching that half of the house, it's easy to do. It's like my husband did it in our house. I didn't.
Oh, is he available? Like, what's his number? We can call it.
Yeah, but like if you are somewhat handy, it's very easy to do yourself. Yeah. But if you have builders on site and people who are already insulating, just ask them to upgrade the existing house, and that's going to make a world of difference.
Well, the expensive part is getting the trade there to start with.
Exactly.
So
they're already
you might
there.
do the rest. Yeah. What about insulation on internal walls? Does that make a difference?
So if you have a really cold house, it makes a good difference because it's keeping the heat trapped in the rooms you want to keep it in. I do sometimes, it's a bit cheeky, I remove the insulation in the internal walls if it's really hot because I let the heat disperse out. However, realistically, you should have internal wall insulation for sound benefits.
For sound benefits?
Yeah.
We did a whole heap of tests with the company I worked with before, and the tests that we did, we had professionals come out, and we found the noise benefits for timber frame with insulation is actually slightly better with mid to high frequency than brick. But brick was slightly better with lower frequency, but it's amazing because. But for insulation, like if you're doing framed internally, pay for insulation. It's not that expensive, and it will change your life.
Yeah, and if your energy assessor doesn't put any insulation in, don't question it. They're probably doing it for your benefit. Because what you have to do, what you have to do as a client is do the minimum of what they say.
Yeah.
And if our minimum is 0, you can go above and beyond. That is your call.
Yeah.
No one's going to tell you off for having better insulation. So
to me, it just goes hand in hand. Like, if our clients are doing it, I'm literally just going to include it for them. Yeah. Because you should do it.
You should do it for the comfort of your house.
Yeah. But there's energy efficiency versus practicality. Which makes a lot of sense. So Windows obviously makes a big difference. And by the way, Windows. If you want to save money on your home, do less windows. By the way, it is so expensive at the moment. Yeah. That's just a side tip. It's got nothing to do with energy efficiency. Just less windows.
Oh no, but also for that.
Yeah. Energy efficiency as well, but Windows not your friend. But you've got Windows, and then you've got the build type that you've got there, and obviously different function, like different things you put into the home. What about everyone's favourite topic, double glazing in the home? You got e-glass. How does that affect things?
Yeah, so e-glass or low e-glass is a glass that's made with special thermal benefits. When we're looking at glass, we look at U value, which is how insulated the glass is on both sides, what heat goes in and out, and the SHGC, the solar heat gain coefficient, and that is just how much heat comes in but doesn't leave. So it's like there's different types of heat transfer. There's like conductive, we're getting a bit too
far
into it.
Okay. There's
a different type of way heat is transferred, but basically it's like how much heat is specifically coming in from direct solar rays. So the sun has to be hitting the windows for SHGC to count. When we look at LOE versus double glazing, all I do is nominate the U value and SHGC. Your glazier then talks to you about your options for low E or double glazing.
What's SHGC?
Sorry, the solar heat gain coefficient.
Okay, cool.
The solar heat gain coefficient is basically how much heat is coming in from direct solar rays.
Gotcha.
So when you want low SHGC because your house is too hot and you're trying to keep the heat out, in those situations, I would suggest double glazing is better because low E needs tinting to keep that SHGC
So you
low.
want to keep the heat out?
Yes,
Okay, yeah.
with a low SHGC.
Yep.
If you need a high SHGC, and I would put that in if your house is really cold and
So
you're trying to
more
get more
heat?
heat in,
Yep.
then low E is better because you can have a double whammy of low U value, which means more insulation, and high SHGC, which means you get the heat you want in, but you don't lose the heat out.
So in a layman's terms,
Mm-hmm.
If my windows are all facing west, I would go E-glass. If my windows are facing south, I'd go double glazing.
Opposite.
Okay.
So
good.
if you're facing west, you want double glazing
Yep.
because
It stops the heat coming in.
stops heat coming in, and you don't have the tint. So I'm assuming you're on the coast, which is why
I'm just making out. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It could be on a corner block facing
Yeah.
west or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's something you want to talk to your glazier about because if you do have different SHG requirements throughout the house, you can tell the difference, especially with low E. You're standing inside, one window might be slightly green, one might be slightly grey, and you will know. So
Yeah.
no matter what you're doing, I'd say even specifically in one single room, have all the same glass. You wouldn't mix up low E on one
yeah,
side, double glaze on the other.
Yeah, I'm not saying people should actually do this. I'm just talking in theory.
Yeah.
Just to understand it. So, and that makes sense to me. I think, but yeah, it makes sense to me. But then when you've got people talking about triple glazing, how does that affect things?
I mean, it's just better insulation.
So it's
Because you
just-
have two more air gaps, and often those air gaps are filled with argon. From someone I've talked to who works at a large glazing supplier, they automatically have argon on, and then they have to manually turn it off when they have non-argon filled glass.
Yeah, and
So-
argon makes a big difference. My understanding of argon, which is the gas between it, is it just breaks up the heat coming through and stops it penetrating through the window of the second part.
Yeah, it's just an extra layer of insulation, but it's
Yeah.
a gas insulation.
Yeah, so
that
it
is
breaks up the
trapped.
heat.
Yeah.
Which is my understanding. So if you don't have that, you're pretty much magnifying, is my
Yeah.
understanding of that.
Yeah, you're better off having argon. It's not, from my understanding, it's not much more expensive, if at all any more expensive. And if you're
think-
already having that air gap, use it.
Yeah, I think very few manufacturers
Yeah.
make it without
Yeah.
the argon, but
Yeah.
I'm sure people can find one out there.
You probably could find one, yeah.
Absolutely. So okay, so that makes sense. So it's really the right tool for the right job, depending on your home, your
Yeah.
orientation, how that works. Okay, so you were talking about flooring affecting the home. What's a good flooring and bad flooring that people should look for? Carpet
You
throughout
mean,
the house.
oh, you mean like carpet? Or
Well,
do you
yeah,
mean
like-
like if it's concrete or timber?
Yeah, well, I guess I'm trying to understand what you're looking at with flooring.
Yeah, so what we're doing is we're looking at how much heat is coming in. So if you're having tile or concrete slab, it's going to be bouncing the heat back out because it's thermal mass. If you're having carpet, it won't be doing that. It'll be more like absorbing it because it's carpet.
Yeah.
You know? We model it in. Frankly, I don't think it makes a huge difference unless you're doing concrete slab.
But if you carpet throughout your house, it's probably not the look you're going for.
No, it's probably not the look you're
No,
going for.
no.
We model it in. I think you get benefits from having vinyl, tile, just exposed concrete slab. You don't get that many more benefits from carpet. As an energy assessor, I would only ever say change your floor type if it's a kitchen living area. That is it.
If you're trying to get
If
that
you're,
last.
if you're really
yeah.
struggling to get it over the line, that is kind of where you start looking. Otherwise, I don't want to. My job isn't to take away what the client wants to do with their house. My job is just to tell them how they can achieve what they want and the look they want and the style they want. Like, I'm not your designer. I'm not telling you have to have micro cement everywhere. I'm just telling you this is what you have to do to get that look you want.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, though. But what I like about your background with interest in design and that is that a lot of people make suggestions, energy systems that we've used before, and you go, that's terrible suggestions. Like that aesthetically, it looks won't work. But they go, well, it's going to reach your star. Well, that's or it's an incredibly expensive option.
Yeah.
And you're going, is there other more efficient ways of doing it?
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing, though. If you've orientated your house well and you've chosen the right materials, we're pretty close to it. I think people need to choose the materials that they want. Do the work and do all the things, because the energy assessment happens very late in the pre-construction process. It's one of the last things to do, because you've got to select these stuff at pre-start and things like that. But I think that you've got to really aim for what you really want, and then let the assessors tell you how you got it wrong or what you could do instead, because there's so many moving elements that if you try to I've got people that say to us, "Oh, we want double glazing throughout, and we want to have this." I said, "Well, we can do all that for you if you want to. Is it because you really want it?" He goes, "Oh no, it's better for energy efficiency." It's like, well, why don't we do allowances for energy efficiency? Let the assessor tell you what's the best thing for you to do, and then make the decision. Don't just do something because you think it's great. And then I go, well, you've got that. It's actually a detriment. Or you've got that. Yeah, cool, we can do that, but that's not really affecting our problem here.
Yeah, and we do get houses as well where they over-insulate, they've over-specified, and it just creates like a greenhouse, it's too insulated and you can't actually get any air movement through the house. So it can be detrimental to the house. If you want as high of a star rating as you possibly can, then I'd give your plans to the assessor and just say, hit me with the best and tell me what I need. As opposed to saying, I want R7, I want Anticon 120, I want triple glazed German PVC windows, because that isn't always to your benefit.
Yeah. So to reach 10 star, what do people have to do? Like because go from 6 to 7 is quite a bit. To go 10 is crazy.
Yeah.
You see people, builders or designers go, hey, we reached 10 star home.
Yeah.
They throw a lot of money at that.
Yeah. So it is possible. It's circling all the way back to the start. It depends on your land.
Yeah.
If you need to start off with a good bit of land with good northern access. I have done some 10-star houses in the past, and for the majority of them, they are kind of like skinny, longer houses with kitchen, lounge room facing north, bedrooms ideally, or like if they have a theatre facing north as well. They do often have double glazed. They do often have, obviously, insulation throughout, potentially slab edge insulation as well, or under slab insulation, just depending on if it's, if it's more south, it's a colder region where under slab insulation really helps.
So they're actually under the main floor slab, as you're talking about?
Yes, okay. So it's like underneath the concrete.
Yeah.
But like no footings or anything. You wouldn't want to mess with the engineers, God forbid. And it's possible, yeah. But if you don't have the land for that, it's going to be very expensive to reach.
Yeah. But I think if you have a journey of 1,000 miles and one being 0 and one being 10 and you need to get to 7, for example, good soil orientation, just someone knowing what they're doing is going to get you halfway there, even more.
Yes.
So just make sure
So first design principles, if you apply those, it'll be pretty simple to get 7 stars.
Yeah. So people out there who are designing houses, make sure you're doing that. It's pretty straightforward. And sometimes it's, especially with these estate blocks where these guys just go, oh, there's your house. We go, well, flipped it would have made a huge difference. It's amazing how often we see that. Okay, so obviously you got 10 star, and interesting. Then you got the existing homes that people have.
Yes.
And a lot of that is air coming through the eaves is what I see, a lot under the floors. What kind of things can people do? Because my house is built in 1939 or something like that. What can people do for just an existing home like that?
So, like you mentioned, just sealing those air gaps, stopping the breeze. In terms of your underfloor, you can, if you have any crawl space, you can put foil underneath. Again, that can be a DIY job if you're feeling handy, or you can employ someone else to do it.
Yeah.
But they're done. It's possible. With walls, you can get blow-in insulation, where they come in after the fact and they drill little holes in your walls and they blow stuff in. Sometimes it's polystyrene balls. They're called eco beads, and sometimes it's blow-in insulation. The problem with some insulations and blow-ins is that it reduces the amount of space you have your water to go down.
Gotcha.
It's like a whole other topic, but basically you want to keep water from the internal wall. Otherwise you're going to have
all sorts
of issues. Yeah. So those things I'm a little bit wary of advising unless it's absolutely needed.
Case by case.
Yeah. So for my house personally, what we're doing is, because we have framed walls and we're undergoing a renovation ourselves, and we're actually going to pull down the internal lining of the walls. Oh, sorry, we have brick veneer. So we're going to pull down the internal lining.
Just brick veneer or just brick veneer?
It's brick veneer. It's brick veneer. But yeah, we're going to pull down the walls and redo it ourselves because it's possible. It is finicky work. We're handy people.
But the payoff is there.
The payoff is there. Yeah. Adding on to 2.5 right now, I don't know what's there, but it was built in the 40s. It's not working. Whatever it is not working.
Yeah.
So
it's 2.5 now?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, no, sorry. Right now it's like a skinny little sheet of
No, you star rating for your home now?
Oh, no. Right now my star rating, it's about 7 stars.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
You're going to make it even better.
Well, here's the thing. Old homes, if they have correct insulation, they perform really well because they're designed first with orientation in mind. They're designed with small windows. They're designed, they're not as big. We have a big house. That's the other thing with 10 stars. You're not going to get it with a giant house.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you need to have a moderate sized house. It's just too hard to heat huge houses. Like that's is what it is. That claim I probably should take back because someone probably has done it.
Yeah, no, I should say. But to me, like it's amazing. In summer, I come home to my house and it's beautifully and cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Until I go upstairs to the renovation.
Yeah, but they've got verandas that shade the windows and the walls.
And that makes a big difference.
They did. Yeah, especially on the east and west walls.
Yeah.
You know?
It's the simple things like that people do. This podcast is going to go forever if we don't get around. I've just got a question for you. So if people are going to renovate their houses and do that, they should, and I think everyone focus on the new part if they're going to extend it, but really get an energy assessment from you on the existing part first, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong with any of this. Find out where you're sitting, and then you might be able to go, okay, if you do this and this, it's going to get you, it might not get you 7-star because you don't have to get the current house 7-star, but either way, it might get you a lot better than where you are now, and then the new part's there as well.
Yeah, even small things like you said before, adding a door in a hallway, that can make a huge difference. Locking off your entry. A lot of older houses have the sort of design where it's an entry hallway and the passage goes forever. If you add a door there, it can really help. If that is not for your lifestyle, though, then that's not for your lifestyle and you shouldn't feel forced to do anything. The issue with with renovations is that the more you change in the existing house, that then is considered a new area. So if you...
What is that?
So when we do renovate, this is WA specific. This isn't Australia-wide, just WA. We have a protocol where, one, we can use the 2019 NCC, the National Construction Code, which was 6 stars. And also we take a percentage of what value of your house is changing and what's staying the same and how old that same part is. And there's a calculator that spits out what your star rating has to be.
So you're saying value, not percentage of house changed?
Percentage of house change. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, what percentage?
Yeah. And then, so let's say it's 30%, 50%. Where does that?
It really depends on how old the existing house is. And then you have things, some people want to turn a window into a door that goes outside. And that whole room is now considered new because you're changing a wall into glass, which then increases the percentage being changed, which increases your preferred star rating. So if you do want to do renovations to your existing house and your new house and add to an extension, I personally would do the renovations you can do to the existing house first before you do the extension and need to get that assessed.
Okay, can you just say all that again? Because that's really important. Can you just repeat that again?
So if you're doing a renovation to your house and you're renovating the existing and you're doing an extension, I would do the renovations that you could do that don't need a building license first.
No,
so if you're turning
internal
your window,
walls and
internal walls. Also, if you're changing anything to do with the external walls, then do that first because you don't need a building license to change a window to a door.
Yeah.
Because once I get the plans and I see that you're changing this wall from a window to a door, that whole room, say it's a 10 square metre room, that whole room gets added to the new part of my calculation, not the existing part of my calculation, which then means you need a higher rating than what you maybe would have needed if you were just a little bit sneaky about it.
Great tip. Because at the end of the day, that could cost you a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly. If you need 4 stars, now it's 6 stars because you've changed all these windows. And to clarify as well, if you're changing the window, like just the glass and the window size is staying the same, it's still existing. So that's not changing anything. It's only if you're changing the opening size.
Yeah.
So it's very niche. It's very specific.
But again, relevant.
WA
incredibly relevant.
Yeah.
Because the big thing that we see with architects all the time and designers who aren't familiar probably with how it's done, they go, we'll just make that window slightly bigger. Or we'll just change that. You go, whoa, one, extremely expensive for an existing home, but also the ramifications that you just talked about.
Yeah.
Just to make life really simple for people at home is that if you're getting your house designed, and I'm talking about new homes mainly here, do what you can, include the insulation. Anticon, I think they're just really good ones anyway. If you're doing colourblind and then sarking if you're going to do a tile roof. But I generally say to people allow $8,500 to $10,000 extra over just to... it should cover you for most, if everything, if citation's right, for the things that you're going to have to suggest to make 7-star. And that's at least going to give you enough buffer. If you don't need it, you don't need it.
Yeah.
But give yourself, I reckon, $8,500 to $10,000 should cover most people. I've had somewhere it's $2,000. I've had somewhere it's nailed 7-star already. But that's going to give you enough so you don't get surprised later.
Yeah. And then also Hall of Home. I don't know if you want to get into that.
What, sorry?
So Hall of Home is an assessment we have to do now with the new NCC. which looks at your appliances that you use and how much energy they use.
I did not know this. So
Yeah.
I should know this. Okay, hit me.
So whole of home, it's like another assessment. It's a secondary assessment to 7 stars. And you're looking at your aircon, there's a few ways to do the whole of home, but the one that I mostly use, we're looking at your heater, what's heating your house, what's cooling your house, what's heating your water. And then we use a calculator.
I did actually know this, so,
Yeah.
but not the way you said it. So, okay,
Yeah. And then it spits out if you need solar panels or not. And then that's also got to be...
If you need solar panels.
Yes.
So it tells you if you need solar panels.
Yes. So you get an allowance based on your house size and your climate zone. And then I put in, if you have ducted aircon, evap, whatever, and your hot water system, if it's gas or a heat pump. And then 99% of the time, if you have gas hot water, you need solar panels.
Yeah.
So if you have the option to have a heat pump instead,
Yeah.
that will save you money on solar panels, unless you're having solar anyway. Then just have...
I think most people, most of the houses we do are heat pumps these days anyway.
Yeah.
But it's funny with solar panels though, is that I got to say, everyone's energy efficient until it doesn't fit their budget. So people go, I really want these really cool stone tops.
Yeah.
Or I could be energy efficient at the start of the process. I go, I want to be energy efficient, but then aesthetics normally beats.
Yeah.
So we'll do the solar panels later, and you never get around to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny. But if you really want to have an energy efficient home, you've got to spend time. And solar panels are
because
really
energy
good.
efficiency isn't just your house design and how that performs with heating and cooling. It's everything. It's like solar panels, like electrical use. Do you have water tanks? Where does your grey water go? It's such like a whole round thing.
Holistic.
It's all holistic. And energy efficiency is an important part of it, but it's not the end of it. There's a lot more to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So look at like if you have steam ovens, is that the other stuff they look at as well?
They do.
Yeah.
Again, depends on your type of assessment. So the type of assessment I do doesn't.
Yeah.
The only time you'll be looking at your oven, your fridge, things like that, is if you're using your star rating to offset your whole of home requirements. I don't
So
do
it's all
that.
together as one big
It can
assessment.
be.
Yeah,
It can either be 2 documents. Like, do you want like DTS, deemed to satisfy sort of requirements?
Yeah.
That's what I use. Whereas you can use the program, your energy rating program, to do whole of home. If you have a 10-star house, it will be very easy to do whole of home. 7-star houses don't really pass whole of home without bigger solar panels. So I go the DTS route, which just normally you need like maybe a 3 kilowatt capacity panels.
But that's just to
comply.
offset the power using.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you have a heat pump and if you have either ducted or split system, you probably don't need solar panels.
Gotcha.
I mean, you probably should have them, but you don't need them for whole of home.
Yeah. We normally ask a question that we ask everybody in a traditional way of doing it. So you're renovating your home. You get in the mail, you get a letter from a distant relative you didn't even know was there. So, hey, here's $10,000. You must spend it on your new home. What would you spend it on?
Like, honestly?
Well, we'd
So
like
I
honesty is the best policy. So.
I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Oh.
So we spend a lot of time in cubby houses. I would get a giant ass tree, like a modern Bayfig, giant tree, and just have like 6 tree houses. And
Amazing.
swing between
6
them all.
tree houses.
Maybe 7.
Wow.
Just however many I
Why
get in
not
my
8?
10 grand budget.
8?
Yeah. Trapezes, swing ropes,
Amazing.
ladders. I get all of that in my modern Bayfig tree.
Yep.
That
I would
is-
not
and I
have
would live there. I wouldn't even renovate the house.
I love
I'd
it.
live in the tree.
That's amazing. And it's a very specific tree too. I like
Yeah,
that.
well, I'm thinking limbs.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
How many limbs can support 8 tree houses?
So you get a pretty big property?
It's decently sized. It's
Oh,
not
yeah,
huge.
that's good.
No,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
like it's 800 meters squared. So
Oh,
it's
that's huge these days.
no, yeah,
Like,
these days. But it's everyone grew up on those. So to me,
100%, yeah. I mean, the reality is like, as long as you don't have concrete at the bottom of those, I think you'd be all right.
Yeah.
But you know, that is completely unique. No one has ever said that before,
Really?
so that's great. I love it. And obviously, getting onto the trees, that with your assessment, you take trees into account?
Not unless they're heritage listed.
Ah, okay, really?
Yeah. So if they're heritage listed, we can count the shading.
Yeah.
Speaking of shading, we do count for like fences and neighbours and that sort of stuff. That all
Yeah.
comes into the assessment.
Which is funny because with council, you can't overshadow, but at the
Yeah.
same time, you take it into account,
Yeah. I guess also it's more if like someone's on your east or west,
Oh,
you want to
yeah.
include it because then they're blocking that sun, so your rating's a bit better.
Gotcha. You use whatever tools you can.
Exactly.
You're trying to get it past.
I see that double-story house next door. Like, you're going in.
Yeah, exactly right. But the thing is also with that, it's interesting that it's only if it's heritage listed because you need planning approval now to remove a tree in your backyard.
Yeah.
So to me, they should probably take that into account.
Yeah, well, I think it also is because the rules we have are national. So they're not going to account for every single state and council's requirements. It's just a blanket rule for all assessors in Australia. Well,
Yep.
that is assessors, and they have to follow that criteria.
Is what it is.
It is
Rules
what
are
it
rules.
is, yeah. Awning windows, rules are rules.
Yeah, it's like the speed limit. They're just suggestions. No, I'm joking. They're not. I'm just joking. Thank you, Nina, for coming on. You've been
Thank
amazing and so much information. We'll try to get you on again because we could talk about this forever. And
Yeah.
there's so much more topics we could talk about.
We skimmed the surface.
I know, but I really appreciate it. I think everything you gave us was fantastic,
Oh,
and
thank
I think
you.
hopefully people at home got something from it.
Hopefully.
Awesome. Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you.